And joining me in the studio is International Affairs Editor Kethevane Gorjestani. Kethevane, what is the status of foreign aid to Morocco at this point in time?
Well, so far, Morocco has only accepted aid from 4 countries. That's Spain, the UK, Qatar, and the UAE. For example, Spain sending 86 search and rescue officers, as well as several dogs, which, of course, are very important when it comes to trying to find those survivors in the rubble. But they've basically said no, if you will, to all the other countries. And there have been dozens of countries offering their aid. They've said no to the United States. They've said no to Israel, to Turkey, and to France. There are some countries that are trying to get around a little bit from this formal request from the Moroccans. The U.S. sending a small team on the ground there just to assess the situation and to know exactly what is needed, where, and how to best be prepared for if and when the Moroccans actually make that formal request to the Americans. Algeria, a tense situation politically and diplomatically with Morocco, but they've opened their airspace to humanitarian flights as well as medical flights. And France, the French Foreign Minister, Kethevane, just announcing a pledge of 5 million euros, but they're going through aid organizations that are already active on the ground. So sending it to these aid organizations, not to the Moroccan government. But there is growing controversy about the fact that the Moroccan kingdom is not taking that aid that is so much needed right now. We're still in that golden window of 72 hours where mostly that's where you find the survivors.
And you mentioned there France, but France does tend to have a rather complicated relationship with Morocco, doesn't it?
Yes, and this goes back, of course, to the colonial history of France with the continent of Africa. Morocco was a protectorate of France for several decades. They regained their independence back in 1956, but since then, there are some very strong personal ties between the two countries. Right now, the estimate is that there's about a 1.5 million person diaspora in France, French citizens of Moroccan descent, dual nationals. About half of that 1.5 million are dual nationals. And of course, there are also tens of thousands of French people who live in Morocco. So very strong personal ties, yet diplomatically, it's gotten very, very difficult, especially in the past few years. And that's because of several political scandals, diplomatic scandals. There was the Pegasus scandal. That was a sort of spyware that was said to be on cell phones. And among the targets, allegedly, was the French president himself, Emmanuel Macron. There was also the visa controversy last year, France reducing the number of visas given to Moroccan citizens. And there is the very tricky question of the recognition of sovereignty for Morocco over Western Sahara. France treading very, very lightly on that issue. And there is an added diplomatic little trouble there, is also the sort of rapprochement between France and Algeria and Morocco not getting along so well. So all of that makes for difficult diplomatic relation. That said, the foreign minister, Colonna, saying that this is a misplaced controversy. There's no controversy there. The French trying to downplay really this idea that there is any politics involved in this, and they're still ready to turn up basically when the Moroccans ask them.
Kethevane, thank you for that.